All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another day of the major qualifiers. Of course, MLP Dota, joined by John X Fire. John, it's Artifact release day. How the hell do you feel?
I'm feeling all right, Mike. It is indeed a wonderful day with that new game. A lot of people are playing it, of course. A lot of people are talking about it. But Mike, we're here to talk about Dota 2, pure Dota 2, eHome up against Newbie Young, and I feel like this should be a pretty interesting match to watch out for, Mike. But
Uh,
that's just me, of course.
I would agree with you. It is going to be a fun one to watch. Now, people are obviously going to notice, so I will mention we did have server connection issues again. So we are in Dota TV right now, trying to bring you the coverage that way because I don't know why, but it just will not let us connect to the certain servers we're trying to connect to. Nevertheless, we're here, but you do have our apologies for that. John, the draft has started. Newbie Young, they will pick up a Magnus first up, although eHome, they'll go for the Centaur and the Shadow Shaman.
A very strong opening from eHome already. That Center and Shadow Shaman can do a lot of work, especially if they lane together. You just need to, Shadow Shaman just needs to hold someone down. Centaur, after a few levels, does dish out quite a lot of damage, especially with enough points in Retaliate to boost up that double edge damage. So it is really potent coming out from eHome. I do like this opening already. Newbie Young, with that Magnus opening, it's a bit safer. I mean, Magnus now kind of feels like a standard pickup for the most part, especially with the prevalence of these melee cores again, like the Phantom Assassin, the Juggernaut. So you do have those options available for Newbie Young, although the PA has been banned out, along with that Medusa, which we saw do a lot of work yesterday. So fairly safe ban outs from eHome, and Newbie Young does have to think about what they want to combine with their Magnus. I feel like if you're going to go with this kind of opening, you could go with the Juggernaut now. I think that's going to be all right. Works out well in lane as well. They go to Rubik first, though, which is fair enough. You do have a lot of good spells to steal. Nearly the entirety of Shadow Shaman's kit is very useful to have. And it's not too bad having a couple of centralized skills as well. Probably the worst one you can get is Double Edge. But beyond that, the Hoof Stomp, the Stampede is really good for your team. So, and it also kind of blocks out that Rubik pickup from eHome, so you don't have any chance of stealing that RP for eHome.
Yeah, I have to agree. Though the thing is, John, I'm surprised that eHome didn't choose the Rubik themselves rather than the Shaman second pick. But I guess they do value that lane presence of the Shaman a bit more than the Rubik. Of course, the Newbie Young were forced to just pick up the Rubik themselves because it wasn't taken already. And we'll have to wait a few more banouts before we get to see what comes out next. Though, with the Magnus, you did point out the Juggernaut is still available. Of course, the PA is banned right now, so they can't go for that option. There is also the Anti-Mage, John. If they do feel like playing a Newbie Young, they could just pick that up, give that hero the free empower instead. And I don't know, it's one of those things where it's like, what do you prefer more, the Juggernaut or the AM this game?
I feel like there's a lot more value in a Juggernaut. The AM is still great, but I feel like Jug overall it's a bit easier to run compared to the AM. So if they're going to go for a melee core that really works well with the Magnus, of course, I think that's the pickup. They do ban out the Monkey King themselves, so I was going to say that would have been pretty decent as well, but looks like Newbie Young's not keen on picking up that Monkey King themselves. I feel like you can go for hmm, one hero that does work out well with Magus that we still have not seen ourselves in 7.20 is that Troll Warlord. I feel like
Ah,
you definitely benefit a lot from that in power. The reworked ultimate is interesting. I'm not really sure how it will play out in big team fights, and the emphasis is definitely very different. You don't buff up everyone's attack speed anymore. You just go in an absolute berserking rage, which it's interesting as a concept. I'm not sure if it's going to work out too well if you do pick it up. I think a lot of teams are really backing off from that pick, mainly because the changes just make it a bit strange. You're much more used to a troll just activating that to clear out a Roche or take an objective, but with a rework to his ultimate, of course, it's much more about the team fights. And I guess some, not, teams are still trying to read try to get a feel for how that troll warlord would play out in the draft. So probably not going to see that. I feel like again the Juggernaut's going to be a very safe pick here for Newbie Young if they decide to go that route, especially against an Undying. Yeah, you have a beautiful way of escaping. You just spin to win.
yeah.
So I think that could work out very well. Although eHome's draft is looking pretty strong, Mike. Again, two really tanky heroes, the Centaur and the Undying, very hard to zone out in lane, coupled with the Shadow Shaman, who just doles out the harass. Pretty potent overall. I have to say, there's nothing really big and synergetic coming out yet. Whereas Newbie Young does, they want to play around that Magnus, and they want that Rubik to be able to get a couple of good crowd control spells off.
We'll see if they can get that done. Of course, Newbie Young, you look at their reserve time, John, they've got 20 seconds left. They've used a lot of it to make sure they get the proper ban outs now, but well, they'll go for the Phoenix. So you've got that team fight potential, sure, the egg is always good, and right now eHome don't really have someone who can just burst that egg down quite fast, but it's one of those things where it's kind of like, if you're on the side of eHome now, those picks that you were mentioning before, the Juggernaut, the Anti-Mage, even the Troll, could become very, very attractive to eHome, considering, there's still a hero to be picked up for their carry. There's a Phoenix egg now that you need to burst down, and well, you want to make sure that Newbie Young aren't able to just pick that carry up as well.
Yeah, that's definitely an opening for eHome to pick those heroes up for themselves. I feel like among those, probably still the Juggernaut. It's just much more easy to execute. And I'm not sure what they really want to do with their draft. Again, it's pretty open-ended. Their supports really aren't telling us much. They have a lot of options in what to do. And Mike, if I recall right, for some reason, Newbie Young started with 1 minute 40 seconds of reserve at the start of the draft. So it looks like they were penalized for some reason. I'm not sure what's up with that. But that is the way it is. eHome does go with the Luna. So it can rip through that Phoenix quite well. My one worry is that, well, overall, the Luna's just kind of been meh overall in this patch. Like, at least on the games we've watched where it comes out, it has been kind of underwhelming, especially since most teams have been going back to that Shadow Demon combination. It just doesn't feel like it works out well, although the synergy is here now, Mike. Centaur Warrunner will get a lot of bonus strength, Undying as well. And you're going to have that really annoying frontline course with just so much HP. And Newbie Young does pick up the Juggernaut in the end, so a bit late in the draft, but they pick it up, and they have a very solid lineup already, Mike. Again, the team fight is great. The Juggernaut should be able to farm fast with that Magnus. You're going to have to play around your cooldowns a bit, but, you can do a lot with this draft. You can push quite okay, not as great as eHome, but you can still push quite well with the Jug. You have a pretty open set of picks for your mid, and your team fight's really amazing.
Certainly does look like Newbie Young are probably slightly in the lead here with the draft, if you could call it that. Though again, it is really up to playstyle and strategy. And eHome, certainly one of those teams that you've got to watch out for, because they don't look so menacing from the outside, but once you get into the game, they can be very, very scary to go up against. And well, I do have to say though, that Luna pick does feel slightly underwhelming. It doesn't feel great to me anyway. This hero came in, it was okay when it came in, and then they nerfed the aura that she has. It doesn't quite seem as good as a Juggernaut right now with a Magnus paired up with it, but let's wait and see. Final pickups coming out now, both teams requiring a mid hero. We'll see how Newbie Young starts this off.
They do ban out the OD themselves, so maybe we're looking for something that can't quite match up against the OD. The Axe comes out for Newbie Young.
Well, now you've got to ask yourself, John, who's mid? Is this a mid Magnus, a mid Jug? Is this a core Phoenix, a core Rubik? Please. Not going to happen, but, John, I get very excited at the thought of a core core Rubik coming out.
Well, that's the power of Newbie's draft. It's pretty flexible in this way. I have to say, this last pick, it's not what I'd expect. I don't see the necessity for the Axe here, especially against something like a Luna. Axe really excels against melee cores. It can still do work against range cores, of course, but you really see it picked up against the PA, against the Juggernaut, against any team with a Dazzle. So I'm just kind of curious as to why Newbie Young opted for the Axe in this case. Of course, it should still be able to have some impact. It's just, I thought it was a solid draft. The Axe just kind of puts a question mark on it.
Well, I've got to say, I do love the last pickup, the Conquer, coming out from eHome. Like, you see all this team fight potential coming out from Newbie Young. Yeah, it just looks like they just want to run at the side of eHome once we hit that 10 or 15 minute stage of the game. But now you've got this Conquer to worry about who's just going to throw his boat out there, and suddenly, you've got that 50% damage reduction coming in. Of course, it is just delayed, but nevertheless, it's going to make them a lot less efficient with these heroes, it feels.
Definitely so. It does look like Newbie is going to run at Magnus mid with AQ playing it, so KD is going to be the offlane Axe, and Fonte is going to be the safe lane Jug. Of course, you have to be kind of weird as well. You are running a try for melee lineup,
Mm.
so potential for being kited around, or just not being able to chase down that Luna could be an issue. eHome, I feel like they really depend on Ego getting good farm here. ASD's gonna have to try to buy some space. Especially with the nerfs to cleave, it really hurts Kunkka and his Tidebringer harass. So you're gonna maybe struggle just a bit. I think that mid lane matchup should draw slightly even, maybe favoring the Magnus if every single Shockwave lands. I think that's a lot of damage to really consider. But if the Shockwave's really used more on creeps than on heroes, well, should go to Kunkka just with the amount of harass he can pump out, of course.
Yep, certainly so. See how this one pans out. It just felt like Newbie Young. Their draft was going so strong, and then, I mean, just suddenly they just did this weird thing with the axe, and it just doesn't look as good as it used to.
Yeah, I have to say. I mean, again, the axe does a lot of work, and it scales as the enemy core scales. And Ego on this Luna should be able to scale quite nicely. It's just that it still puts a weird question mark in my head. It's just a very odd last pick to go to, especially when you have such strong openings. I felt like you weren't going to go with a Magnus mid, but Newbie Young seems to disagree. They will put AQ there, and it should work out. Honestly, it's not going to be dominant for sure. It's not like it's going to overrun this Kunkka again, unless every single piece of harass lands on point and you get a couple of rotations. Should draw even or slightly favoring Kunkka. Shouldn't be wash either way. But key thing here for both teams is really on their safe laners. The Luna will have to get a bit big to kind of mitigate that early game team fight that Team Newbie Young will want to do. And Newbie Young will have to get their level 6s quite fast, Mike.
Certainly so. I've got to say, there is a bit of lag in Dota TV. John, are you experiencing the same thing, or is it just me?
I think I did just see some frame hitching.
Yeah.
Not sure why, but
It's very slight, but it's quite annoying, to
yeah,
say the least.
it is.
Okay, so you are experiencing. It's not just me.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's just hope that wears off then. Obviously, it's not just me, so I won't bother disconnecting and reconnecting quite yet. Hopefully, again, John, it just ends up fixing itself and we don't have to go through this hell again like yesterday.
It is what it is, Mike.
It's pretty bad, though. Like, they are dropping a lot of frames here. Nevertheless, mid lane, the one we probably have to keep a close eye on, AQ and ASD up against each other, but I don't know, this Magnus mid pick, like it still feels very strange to me, and especially up against the Kunkka, it's not going to be the easiest lane for a Magnus.
Definitely not. Again, it should be fairly even, but probably going to favor Kunkka as time goes on, simply because, as far as harass goes, Tidebringer is pretty darn good. Compared to, your Empower Cleave, you have to be a bit up close to really maximize that, so Kunkka does have the safety of range to really cleave through and harass people.
Alright, John, give me 1 sec. I'm going to try the reconnection. This is just too bad. 1 sec.
No problem.
Sorry, guys. Just going to try to reconnect to the game so maybe we can get lucky. And it doesn't lag like that bad. Just hit me up if anything special is going on, John.
Nothing special is happening, Mike. Just standard laning phase.
Yeah.
Harass here, harass there. Farm here from there. Our axe is creep cutting, of course, as an Axis want to do. And such as it is in a game of Dota 2, Mike. Just pretty standard so far. We do see Lei 1 dropping a bit low, but everyone's kind of dropping low in bot lane. That is to be expected with an axe and a dying.
Oh, that actually fixed it. Alright.
Good work, Mike.
Well, that's good. Fixed it for now, John, I should say. It's not like it's going to last forever, knowing our luck, but...
Clear sailing now.
Alright. So, turns to laning, John. The Kunkka does seem to be taking over that mid lane, as we were expecting. ASD, just with that Tidebringer, can really... Well, he can really just abuse the fact that he has that extra right click, especially with those denies. AQ trying his best with the Impale, but certainly not doing as well. And it looks like bot lane, Y may end up falling on this Undying, and they do indeed get the first blood. Lei Yuan ends up picking that one for himself on the Phoenix.
Yeah, nice first blood going the way of Newbie Young on two heroes that really want that EXP. Again, you want pretty fast 6 on your Phoenix and the Axe as well. So all this creep cutting is really helping your cause. That kill just kind of helps you a bit more. Although, yeah, they're really applying a lot of pressure in Ego, which is great because, again, you don't want this Luna to farm up too fast because it will just accelerate from there. If she gets a good timing on her rate bands and her power treads, she can clear jungle much, much faster. So you do want to slow that down. Lei Yuan is soaking that lane now, and our Axe is just going around being a menace.
Yeah, like why can't even pull the creep wave properly like this. It's some nice little plays coming out from KD. Meanwhile, Lei Yuan though, well, he went pretty deep. He lost a lot of HP and he was forced to Fairy Fire up. Though Ego's not having the greatest of time. Like these Fire Spirits that are just flying in, dealing so much harassment and more importantly, not allowing him to get those CS that he desperately needs on this carry.
Yeah, not a great start for eHome. Ego is struggling quite a fair bit. 11-7, compare that to the Juggernaut up top. 18-1. Newbie Young is definitely having a much better time in the laning phase.
I guess it's to be expected though, right? Like you even pointed it out in the drafting phase with the Jug. It's very easy to execute, and if you're ever in trouble, you just spin and run the hell away. And suddenly they can't really do anything against you, although Shackle does come in. Faith Beyond, Hoofstomp is there to chain up. He's probably going to go for the spin now, and Fonte, not going to matter. That Retaliate hit, John, it was just a lot of damage that came in, and Fonte could not survive it.
Just a bit too late there in that spin. You know, you can't afford to go that far forward without your support to back you up. And he does get punished for that.
Sorib came in from wide to keep Ego alive, but he ran back in and he ends up going down. That was very interesting. I mean, he didn't have many places to go. The only place he had was like behind him in the tree line, but to just run back in, I'm not sure about that.
Strange decision indeed. It does draw eHome and Newbie Young fairly even. Core, both died once. Again, the Luna Ego is dropping a fair bit behind though. Not looking very healthy in that creep score right now. 16-7. Not the best spot to be, but at the very least as a Luna you can flash farm quite well.
Well, it looks like they found the Axe. KD in a bit of a pickle right now, and White, he will be there. They will split the gold. Even, you look at that Phoenix Lei Yuan, forced to Icarus dive with about 100 HP left. And he will be on his way back to the base now. He actually doesn't go for the deny on one of the towers, which is pretty interesting, but... well, in fact, he might change his mind. He's sticking around for the moment.
Looks like he has his Tranquils coming in, so that's why he just didn't opt for the deny. He can stay in lane. There it is, Tranquils up. And he can sustain this lane much more. He can apply a bit more pressure, again, because Phoenix does eat up a bit of your HP when you cast your spells. So, always nice to have those Tranks up early. Fairly early timing for a support as well.
Faith Beyond, very, very low. Forced to salve up, though. Zhao has to be careful. Faith Beyond is dishing out a lot of damage. One more hit will do the job. He's making the chase with those brown boots. Zhao just running for his life, and he does make it out somehow. I can't actually believe he outran the Centaur, but just barely manages to, although there is a Shadow Shaman there now. You do have to be very wary of that. He will actually salve up as soon as he spots him out.
Close call. That was just difference of 4 points of movement speed, and it's not done yet, Mike.
No, they're going for the spin on the Shaman. One more right click will do the job, but they need Fonte to get it. In fact, never mind. Zhao will manage to get 2 right clicks in and does get the job done. 2-3 now. But this Juggernaut, John, he's going to start to get very scary very soon.
Definitely so. He's had a good start in the lane. He has his rate bands up. He has a magic stick, magic wand coming out. And after all of that, he can just switch to the jungle once pressure starts coming in. Magnus can just apply that power, and your farm just goes that much faster.
We end up getting KD bot lane quite easily. ASD just in there with the rotation. He throws the torrent and the boat out, and just a lot of damage. Now this does give a chance for AQ to just free farm the mid lane a bit. But it looks like he is going to make his way top now. And Fonte, though, already ends up falling. So the Shaman, again, finds him with those shackles and just Faith Beyond. with that Retaliate and Hoof Stomp, John, it's a lot of damage that comes out.
Definitely is quite a fair bit of damage. You do have to watch out when he flicks that on. I don't believe there's anything that actually shows you a visual when Centaur has Retaliate up, so that does make it a bit hard to judge when it's safe to go in and when it's not. You do have to be very aware of that cooldown, and you probably have to mouse over this Centaur Fate Beyond quite a fair bit if you want to keep going in for its last hits, because once he has the stacks up and it's off cooldown, he's just going to go for that kill.
Yeah, it's just such burst damage that comes out. Fate Beyond now. They're going to try and have a go, though. Hoof Stomp will actually connect on both of them. They still get the lift off, but it looks like Fonte is just not interested whatsoever in having a go at this, and he'll just leave it be.
Yeah, again, it's best to be a bit careful here. I don't really know if you can take out this Centaur now without a while ago without the Omni Slash. You do have Omni Slash now, so we'll expend it on that Shaman. Just enough.
Very nice pickup. Fonte just straight back to farming. To be fair, Faith Beyond has taken over the offlane just a bit. Like, he was just ahead of that Juggernaut. Not so much anymore, but you gotta give it to Faith Beyond. Like, he's gonna have some quick itemization coming up on himself as well in the Descent.
Yeah, it looks like he's just about 200 gold away from his Vanguard. Once that's up, you're gonna have a much harder time bracing this hero down. You're probably gonna have to depend on magic damage to burn him true, which means really just relying on Blade Fury. The Omni Slash not as effective, especially with that early Vanguard. And, you know, a lack of damage items early on for the Jug. But that is to be expected, especially with Fate Beyond having such a free lane for the most part.
Mid lane, they're having a go at it again. AQ copping a fair bit of damage, but he'll be alright. ASD, top of the net worth board right now by a mile. The bot lane, Faith Beyond. Stampede Hoof Stomp does come out. Le Yuan and Fonte will be fine though. Xiao Zhao was there just in case. And it looks like they're even going to rotate Y up here. Not sure what the plan is. So they're going to go for Fonte. X comes in, the boat is there as well. He doesn't have spin available right now, and he just ends up falling. E-Home, can they find any more though? White moves forward, sees a couple heroes, but they are just way too far away to initiate on.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Nice clean pickoff for E-Home. Again, slowing down this Juggernaut's probably your top priority. It's the same thing for Newbie Young. Slowing down Ego's Luna, except, you know, at this point, Ego is just in the jungle. He's not even going after lane anymore. He's not really contested. He's having a fairly good time playing catch-up. Is behind that Magnus, but probably not for too long. Does have that Morbid Mask up. Mask of Madness to follow, and once that's up, the farm just accelerates.
Looks like some Serpent Wards were dropped up top lane, but that does give the ability for the Rubik to just steal them. And so now you've got Xiao Zhao. He's got Serpent Wards up, and it's kind of like, well, we probably should go for a push before I lose the spell now. Because it's basically a free T1 tower once it's been dropped.
Definitely so. Looks like they are going to posture for top lane. Le Yuan does have the egg as needed as well, so they will have that tool if they force a team fight here.
They're going to go for it. Faith Beyond is taking a bit of the attacks from the wards, and now they are going to rotate in ASD. Boat will come in straight away on Xiao Zhao. He gets lifted back.
Fonte's top.
Yeah, Fonte. Not sure how he got in that position, John, but well, that Omni Slash does absolutely nothing. And Fonte, he gets shackled up. Faith Beyond's there. They drop the egg and Stampede. They'll change their direction towards the egg instead. And they will manage to find it. As well as that, the X was there on Fonte. And well, he does spin out of it just in time. But the Shaman's already found him. Now AQ's here. He does have the RP available. There's no real way to get close enough to them though. Neither have a Blink Dagger available quite yet. And so they will lose 3 heroes for the sake of a T1 and a Shadow Shaman.
Not the greatest trade for Newbie Young. A bit reckless with that ward usage. He caught Fonte in the wards,
AQ.
his own allies.
AQ does manage to dodge the torrent in time with that skewer. He will be alright, but yeah, I have to agree, like Newbie Young, they were playing slightly reckless through that team fight, and they do get punished very hard for it.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, that was just supposed to be a clean tier 1 tower, and instead they lose their Juggernaut and their 2 supports. Not the best trade for Newbie Young, especially since that top lane is pretty much dead anyway. And Ego again. Contrast Ego to Fonte. Ego's just pushing freely, free farming. He's, maintaining a bit of a lead over the Juggernaut. Not the most amazing lead, but just gonna escalate as time goes on.
Yeah, they got Lei Yuan as well mid lane. They dropped the Serpent Wards down again, and they will claim that mid tier 1 tower. Yeah, we always talk about it, John, but those mid tier 1s, they are extremely important for map control.
They really are. It just opens up your hard camps for rotations from the enemy team, and you're gonna have to rely on just TPing into that shrine, which, it's alright, but it's not the best amount of control, especially if you're going to try to be contesting Roshan or trying to contest the enemy ancient stacks and hard camp stacks as well. It's not great when you lack that mid-tier 1.
Well, eHome certainly starting to take a small lead ahead of Newbie Young. 2k net worth their way. And you look to Ego again on that Luna, just free farming up the whole time. Didn't actually go for the Mask of Madness yet. Rather, he went for the Yasha first and is going to go straight into a Manta style. Which I suppose against the Juggernaut, it is going to be probably the better itemization, but he's going to slow down the farm just a bit.
Just a tad. I think that's fine though, because he's pretty farming.
They found the axe. Boat coming in as well, and KD, I don't see him surviving this one. He does end up falling. Now Xiao Xiao as well. Double kill comes out for ASD, and well, they got caught off guard with that smoke, and with that, you look at that bot tier 1 tower, it's probably not going to last very long at all.
Definitely not. eHome's just going to go ahead and push in, and again, while all of this is happening, Ego is not joining fights. You have the same situation for Newbie Young though. Fonte is just trying to free farm up as well, and it's still fairly even, but the Luna has taken over for sure. Top 3 network now, all from eHome.
Ego literally shows up at the last second, tries to get the final right click on that tier 1. That's when there was a Blink Dagger that came out on the Magnus now, so AQ may call his team out to get a fight going. The Ancients have been stolen by eHome. They still, I believe it was a triple stack that they ended up getting. Newbie Young, can they punish for this? KD, only 200 gold away from that Blink Dagger. It seems like he's sort of hesitant to go for a team fight right now. And Newbie Young, they do end up backing off for the moment.
I think that's a fair enough choice. You're so close to that Blink Dagger, you're probably not going to be able to gap close without it. And it's fair enough. Although eHome's not going to back off as well, Mike. They're going to try to take this tier 2 out. Tombstone and wards dropped. So let's see if there's a defense coming out from Newbie Young.
I mean, this is a smart play. You haven't seen any Blink Daggers come out yet from Newbie Young. So why not just abuse them while you can? And well, now they have the blink on both AQ and KD, but are they in a position to actually make the jump? They've already lost the tier 2 tower. And that'll be it. eHome, they just back off. And with that, the map control certainly starting to really go their way.
Definitely so. eHome does. If they wanted to, they can definitely just invade that bot jungle now. There is a Radiant ward as well watching that spot. The Sentry ward coming out from Newbie Young, not spotting it. So that added vision control in that area as well makes it a bit dangerous for Newbie Young to farm that area. And you will need to farm that area with a hero like Juggernaut. He's going to be clearing out all the camps he can. Still trying to work towards that Manta style. Should be up fairly soon, maybe in the next 3 to 5 minutes. It will be up depending on how active he is in fights as well. But again, compare that to Luna, who does not really require farm acceleration to take over. Fairly even on the net worth, but I just feel like it's a bit worrisome when you lose this much map control and you're playing against Luna. Oh.
Yeah, they are going to find Ego, though, with that smoke, and this should be a guaranteed kill. They will find it very easily. Not a bad play at all from Newbie Young. They literally found probably the most valuable target for the side of eHome that they could. And now they want to go for more. I mean, they didn't commit any ultimates for this. They won't really find anybody else, but if they could... In fact, why? We'll go back into that mid lane, but pretty much... Is he going to die? Not quite yet. He is actually surviving now. Faith Beyond comes in. They've got the shackles off. Can they get anything done with that? Why? He still ends up falling AQ. He will end up connecting with the boat, and now the egg. Can they burst it down fast enough? It looks like they can, and they will. Newbie Young, they are on the back foot, but again, another X coming out onto KD. Serpent Ward slightly misplaced, but it won't matter too much. It looks like KD is still dead. John, I thought Y was making a terrible play by positioning himself in that mid lane again, but apparently that was a bait.
Yeah, he was definitely acting as bait. That was a really good move from eHome. They do lose Y, but overall in that team fight, it was 1 for 3, which kind of makes up for the fact that you lost Luna for free. So, a good move from them. They can't quite take that tier 2 though, because Luna's not around. Shadow, the wards aren't up either. He did expend them in the team fight, so you will have to back off from that tier 2, but definitely a very worthwhile trade. Again, for eHome, I think the one issue is for Newbie Young, they didn't quite manage to get a big RP, AQ. Just kind of holding on to it a bit too long, didn't realize it was bait that he probably needed to really just RP at some point. By then, it was a bit too late, so a bit of a shame for Newbie Young. Again, they still have the tools to really take these team fights. Again, that RP, that egg in, if you just time it right, it's going to ruin eHome. It's just that you have to find that opening.
You gotta love the way eHome's responding to that egg though. Every single time it comes out, they literally stop exactly what they're doing and they all go and aim the egg. And I suppose at level 1 egg, it's just a few hits and it's just dead. It's just a great way to go about this. There you are. With this team in the mid lane now, they want to see if they can get a tier 1 out of this, though Ego is pushing the tier 2 top tower, and they've got to make a decision quick. Do we defend this, or are we going for a trade? Right now, they're not making a decision, John. They do finally make it, but that tier 2 tower, it may end up falling. The Hex immediately comes out from Shaman. What reactions was that? Now the Phoenix gets caught out with the Shackle. They get the tower anyway. KD couldn't even deny it. Meanwhile, a Stampede comes out. Xiao Xiao will get caught out on that Rubik, and it looks like he will end up falling. eHome, they're playing all around the side of Newbie Young right now.
That was just amazing reaction times coming out from that Shaman. The instant Hex mid-call, Mike. That was mid-call. That could have ruined Ego if you got caught in that. Follow-up from Phoenix would have been there. But that Hex just bought him all the time. The world secured him a kill. And it's just, really well played from eHome. That hesitation from Newbie Young definitely cost them. The fact that they were still posturing down mid while their tier 2 was taken and they didn't quite know where to go, it costed them the tower and 2 kills.
Now the Roshan's being taken down as well, so it's even costing them that. And it's not going to take very long to take it down, especially with those Serpent Wards being dropped by the Shaman. So now you've got to deal with the Luna with an Aegis as well. Things certainly just got a hell of a lot harder if you're on the side of Newbie Young. Not to mention, John, they are 7k net worth behind now at the 20-minute mark.
Yeah, not the brightest picture for Newbie Young. We still haven't seen a very big, 5v5 going way of Newbie Young yet. In fact, we haven't really seen a 5v5. It's mainly been staggered, single ganks or smaller fights breaking out, but nothing big yet. And I feel like Newbie Young needs to play around his big team fights because that's where they excel. They have the Juggernaut with Empower, they have the Magnus, they have the Egg, they have the Axe. And they have the Rubik to steal anything big too. So you have the tools to take a 5v5 handily. It's just that eHome's not giving them that window of opportunity.
eHome, they have smoked up. They want to continue this aggression. Who have they found? They're going after KD first. He's slowed down, and now Faith Beyond finds him with the Hoof Stomp. Hex comes in as well, and Newbie Young do not want to assist KD whatsoever. They leave him be to die, and they go up to that top lane where it's a lot safer. Problem is, they'll lose another tier 2 tower, and it looks like they're going to lose a tier 3 at this stage.
Definitely so. The RP is still there, though. So we'll see if AQ can land something very big to turn the tides here.
Well, AQ's coming in. He still needs more backup, though. Like, they've got the Juggernaut down at the bot lane. AQ, even if he lands it, do they have the damage? Like, Ego, he has an Aegis available, so he doesn't mind dying once. They're even preemptively torrenting just to make sure that if that RP is going to come in, it may not even be effective. With that, first Rax of the game. KD, he'll go in with the call. Rax is not down yet. Now the Egg is up as well. They will go for the burst, but the wards are actually blocking the pathing, so they can't move in to actually take it out, and the Aegis is gone on Ego. They do get the Rax, however, and with that, they may just back off their KD again. He finds another double call, though the Hex does come out this time around, and the boat was there. Now the RP, it's only on one solo Kunkka. ASD making a run, now Faith Beyond. He finds a 3-man hoof stomp and stops them all in their tracks. ASD still making a run, though the Omni Slash, it is nice from Ponte, and they will find ASD, so a lot of heroes going down for the side of eHome. But they still end up losing the Rax on the side of the Dire.
I think that's a much bigger win for Ehome again. A good amount of kills for Newbie Young, of course. Not the cleanest defense, I have to say. We expected the RP to come out. It only came out in Kunkka. I'd have to say KD definitely carried that fight with his really good blink-ins and calls. That was twice over, where he really managed to secure those pivotal calls, I feel, and just caught Ehome off guard. But again, I feel like the defense for Newbie Young could be coming out a bit cleaner. Their spell usage isn't ideal, but you know, they do manage to find those kills. It did come at the cost of their racks. They are going to try to take some objectives of their own. They take that tier 1 mid at last, so it's a bit harder for Ehome. Just go for that Roshan now. But overall, you know, you're 1 racks behind now. You do have to start to really tunnel in on what you want to do if you're Newbie Young. And I feel like that is, again, playing around with your cooldowns, trying to get some farm in your jug, and forcing the issue every time you have RP and Supernova up.
Ehome smoking up. Just this aggression coming out from the Radiant end. They just do not stop this, and I think it's bloody fantastic. There you are. They get caught out. There's the Hex coming out from the Shaman. Now, where's the follow-up? ASD, he does have an X, though. The Shackles will be enough to hold him in place. Meanwhile, Xiao Xiao, he gets a boat stolen at the very least, but it doesn't help the cause. And both supports on the side of Newbie Young are now down. Mind you, though, they do have buyback available.
Yeah, a bit, you know, a really good smoke from Ehome, once again securing those kills, and they're still going, Mike.
Yeah, they found the axe mid lane. Shaman with the Shackles was there. KD, nice core comes out. The Blade Mail as well, but he should just be dead here. He does eventually end up going down, and that's, I mean, that's 3 heroes going down for really no reason on the side of Newbie Young.
Radiant's top tower.
Yeah, pretty, I'd say it's not that Newbie Young is moving recklessly. I feel like Ehome's really on point with her aggression. They're just on the map where he need to be, exploiting the weaknesses from Newbie Young. So I don't think this is on Newbie Young moving badly. It's just Ehome just know what to do any given moment.
Ooh, that's an early egg, but they're trying to bait them out into going for it. And they just back off, though. RP is nice onto 2 heroes. Now the Omni as well. They could burst them down, and they do, though. ASD, he was a bit late to the party. Now boat stolen as well. And Newbie Young do finally manage to execute that team fight that they needed. ASD, gonna take a while to go down, but it will happen eventually. And there it is. AQ picks it up. Not a bad team fight.
Definitely not for Newbie Young. They do manage to get 3 clean kills. They do lose their tier 3, but you know, it's still something. At the very least, you stop the racks from going down, and you get a nice pivotal kill on 2 cores that really needed to die. So good RP coming out from AQ. That's what we've been waiting for a while, along with a follow-up from Fonte. They need to do that more, right? And they need a follow-up. I think, you know, at this point, if Supernova's just cherry on top if you can land it, but otherwise.
Mid lane, KD, he will end up finding the Shaman. And now Newbie Young are the ones that want to get aggressive. They try to find Y as well, but he is well out of range. Newbie Young, how do they go about this?
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Fonte, he's getting started on that bot tier 2 tower. They just need to find as much as they can while they have the chance.
Radiant's bottom tower is
Pretty much only be 1 tower that they really get out of this, but I guess it's still something. And as well as that, Fonte, he's currently top of the net worth board, so this Juggernaut eventually may start to take over the game.
For sure. He's already kind of taken over. Like, as long as he's in that team fight, the RP catches a couple of heroes. With that in power, he can just rip people to shreds at this point in the game. So you will have to watch out as Ehome. You have to be conscious about how tightly clumped your heroes are. And you have to be really aware about your positioning. So it's getting a bit, you know, I mean, right now it's still fairly even. 4k net worth lead for Ehome. The only advantage they really have is taking that mid set of racks, which does slow down the farm a bit for Newbie Young, but, you know, right now they need to progress into more objectives, because that team fight potential from Newbie Young, it's never going to falter, right? The Magnus will always be relevant, the Phoenix Supernova will always be relevant as well, so you will have to watch out, because going into that late game, it's not like Newbie Young tapers off.
Certainly not. They do go for a smoke on Newbie Young now. AQ, he has got that RP available. And they will spot out the Shaman, surely. Though apparently not. He does blink into the tree line as well, and it seems like eHome are aware that something's very, very wrong. AQ, he goes for the skewer attempt, he barely misses it. They still are searching, and now they found him. The Fire Spirit actually connects, he goes to the TP, but the call is there. KD will at the very least find something for his team. Certainly not the best for a 5-man smoke, but it's the best they could find at that point.
Yeah, it's still something at the very least. You get something from your smoke. And you take out that Shadow Shaman, who does not have buybacks. You have a little opening where you can do something, I suppose, although I'm not quite sure what you can really achieve in half a minute with the state of the map right now. Probably just some safe farming, ensuring that eHome won't be taking a 4v5 anytime soon.
Well, they do check for the Roshan, but it's not available quite yet. They need another 20 seconds. And unfortunately for them, that Shaman is going to be back up in that 20 seconds. But they are keeping around that pit. They understand they have the better team fight. If they can win that team fight at the Roche pit, I mean, they could claim a racks for themselves, it feels like.
Definitely so. And in fact, I don't think Newbie Young should be the ones pressured to take that Roche. Pressure's now on eHome. And Newbie Young's much happier contesting that Roche. Because again, it's a nice tight spot. Their ultimates all really benefit from it, and they have multiple ways of starting that fight, so I feel like it's much better for Newbie Young if eHome goes into that Roche pit first.
Well, they are going to go in. Wards have been dropped. There was a line being drawn out from Newbie Young stating where the players were, but surely they can assume that they're in the Roche pit right now. Apparently not. They scan them out eventually, but it's just so damn late.
Again, if Newbie Young forced that fight there, if they had vision, some way to know that eHome was there, I feel like that's a very bad fight for eHome to take. Not the case though. That was a very big window of opportunity for Newbie Young. Would have been a pretty clean team fight. The first real big 5v5 where I feel like Newbie Young's lineup would definitely shine. Instead, eHome does pick up that Aegis and the cheese now as well. So the next team fight is just a bit harder.
Yeah, it's a real shame. Especially for Newbie Young, that was probably their one chance, I feel like. But, I mean, the game's nowhere near over. They still have brought themselves back at the 30-minute mark. It's just, still like, you know eHome, you know they have that comeback potential. I mean, they are still in the lead anyway. How far can this Juggernaut go? Like, one bad Omni Slash, and it feels like this hero could just have no use in these team fights anymore.
Yeah, it's really relying on getting that perfect Omni Slash with Admin power after the RP, making sure every single hero gets hit, and cleaning up that 5v5. Even just killing off the Luna and the Kunkka at this point is going to be really big. So that is the bare minimum I'd have to expect coming out from Fonte, which he has done a couple of times now, so he does have the capability of doing it. The issue is, can they pull it off again?
Well, bot lane, they got a shackle off. It is on KD on that axe. Now the torrent, the boat is not quite there yet, though the back lines, Xiao Xiao does get caught out in KD. He does manage to actually TP out. They had no way of disabling him after using all those abilities. And I guess going for that Rubik instead of the axe in that case, I mean, they got a bit greedy about it. They end up getting the, well, probably the less attractive kill.
Yeah, I feel like you do want to slow the stacks down just a tad. Is getting quite nice in his progressions of items. He's had that blink forever, and the blade mail as well. And once he gets a couple more items, it's going to be actually pretty hard to deal with the axe. He's going to be able to dish out a lot of damage to you, especially to Luna, as long as that call on blade mail is active. So you do have to be careful again as eHome, because when it comes down to that team fight, Newbie Young is a bit better, right? The RP, Nova, the Omni Slash once again, just very good for that high ground defense as well. And as time ticks on, it doesn't get any easier for eHome. The Juggernaut just gets bigger and bigger. The Magnus will start to do some damage of his own. And the Axe will do quite a fair bit because he's reflecting your damage. So again, I feel like eHome has to maximize this Aegis, has to maximize this opportunity they have. Maybe take a few more objectives before it starts to get a bit too even.
Well, eHome, they did just take 2 shrines, and they are going to go for that bot Rax again. Of course, Age is still up on Ego right now. We'll Call is there. He does manage to catch two. Now, can they capitalize off it? The Omni Slash, the Egg, as well as the RP. Everything's been thrown out for the side of Newbie Young, but the Hoof Stomp comes out. Now Xiao Xiao turns it back around. Fonte is still trying to fight this one out. A long skewer goes back, but ASD finds a double kill, and the side of eHome somehow survive all that.
Yeah, I think that came down to the Aegis and the respawn timing for Ego. He respawned just after that Supernova, so he could follow up and wasn't in any danger of dying there. So a bit unfortunate for Newbie Young that, just a few seconds off, you might have been able to take out this Luna, and then it could have fallen apart for Newbie Young, but that's not the case. You do manage to hold on to your bottom racks, but you are forced to buy back. And, your cooldowns your big spells are in cooldown now, so the next defense, if it comes within the next minute, is not going to go that well.
Well, eHome, they know all those ultimates are not available right now. I mean, this feels like it's their chance to just go in and snipe that Rax, and it looks like that is the plan. They are just waiting for their Undying to make it back into that lane. With that, I mean, the only thing you can really rely on at this point is KD's calls. Although eHome, they are surprisingly backing off. I mean, I've got it
Very conservative.
Yeah, it's very shocking, isn't it? Like, they've got nothing to throw at you apart from the call, and you back off.
Yeah, it's a bit surprising because again, you force the buybacks into heroes. You know those big team fight spells are on cooldown. If you just force that issue right there, you could have secured 2 diebacks, maybe that final set of racks as well, and just push for the tier 4s at that point. I think that's very feasible for the lineup eHome has, but they choose to play it safe. Again, probably not the most optimal play here, but you do kind of understand. You don't want to give any sort of opening to Newbie Young. And Newbie Young now, all of their team fight spells are back up. They're going to smoke up and try to make use of it.
I mean, the irony in that statement, John, is it feels like they've given the opening now for Newbie Young to try again. Like, they find a couple pickoffs. I mean, there is one right near them. It is the Shadow Shaman. It looks like they're aware. They actually go for it. KD ends up finding him right in that tree line, and I didn't really see any wards either. Like, he places some now, but that was just a blind guess.
I mean, he saw his smoke break, and maybe he figured someone would be hiding in the tree line, which is a very good guess.
ASD does manage to snag a bounty rune from under KD. They will go for the top ones as well, the side of eHome, so they do get 4 bounty runes at this stage. They maintain the net worth advantage as well. Like, they've got 10k going their way and make that 11 now. But you're still sitting here going, if they lose one big team fight from Newbie Young, like, they could just take over this game.
Yeah, definitely. So again, it's mainly because Newbie Young's lineup is, pretty much, it scales almost the same as eHome. I'd say slight edge because again, they have that RP, which really doesn't care for your BKBs, doesn't care for anything. It's just always good if you can land it. And AQ has been fairly on point the past half of the game. You have the Supernova follow-up as well, and now it's much harder to kill off that egg. It's level 3 Supernova, and once he hits that level 25 as well, it's just going to be that much harder as this game drags on. So you do have to watch out as eHome. Again, you scale quite well as well, but your Undying starts to feel a bit lackluster as you go into that late game. Your Shadow Shaman needs a few more items to really maximize his wards at this point. Maybe an Ags at some point would really help out, or a Refresher Orb. Keep that push going. Otherwise, Newbie Young's team fight was always good, and it just stays very good as you approach its late game, and it gets a bit scarier for eHome to handle that.
eHome moving forward now. AQ, he does get X'd up. This is a nice opportunity, though. They missed the turn. Hoof Stomp is there in time, though. Where's the damage? They do get the Hex off. Now they're egging the backlines. They want to burst that down, but they actually back off on the side of eHome. I mean, the problem is, if they go for the egg, John, AQ's going to be ready with that RP, and you've got the core from KD.
Yeah, I think that was a smart play from eHome. Just bait out the egg, back off. You have a 2-minute window, 3-minute window, no, 2-minute window where you can kind of force the issue against Newbie Young if ever it comes down to that. Although it doesn't look like eHome's going to be keen for that. They're going to try to see if Roche respawns early, We're going to find out in just a bit as well. And it does look like a pretty long rush, 2 minutes more. So probably not going to see any issue forced out for eHome until that Roshan can be secured.
Well, they've drawn a line out. It looks like they want to have a go. I mean, the egg is down. That's all they've gotten down, but I suppose that is a slight advantage for the side of eHome. Mind you, Stampede is also down and has another 30 seconds to go. Why? We'll start moving forward, trying to bait them into going after him. Of course, he does have the level 15 talent now as well, so you can get those double tombstones going. Why? Scout out some more. Fonte will get started. The Hex is there in the backlines. Now Faith Beyond as well goes in, but the call is there, and now they're both RP. It's all out there, but who wins this team fight? It's so much damage coming out from this Luna. They grouped up together. AQ's gone. Lei Yuan as well. He's gone. Now the Omni comes out, though. ASD may end up falling as a secondary Fonte. With that BKB, he'll take down 2 by himself. The buybacks start flying out from the side of eHome, and they want to keep going. Fonte is the target. The shackle is there, but do they have the damage? He's literally taking nothing, and now Ego has to make a run for it seems. Stampede committed. Now AQ is the target. They do get the X. They get the shackles and the Hex as well, and he does end up going down. 3 down for the side of Newbie Young John. No buybacks available. That fight was all over the place, but the Luna, when you clump up that close together, her glaives do so much damage.
Not only that, the fact that the RP was great, but Fonte could not follow up. He was stun locked by the Kunkka. So, you know, that follow-up wasn't there, and that really costed Newbie Young that team fight. Now, no buyback in Madness, no buyback in the 2 supports. Oh, on the Rubik
Found
and
another
Yax.
as well. The Shackles is there. The boat coming in as well. That is Fonte that you just lost. The Phoenix, the only one left. They have to call GG.
No way to defend that without your jug, no buyback. And, you know, really close game, I have to say. It wasn't overwhelming the eHome's way. You know, Newbie Young always had the tools to come back in. They weren't really too far behind for the most part until those last 2 team fights. But the biggest net worth difference before this chain of events was about 7k, I want to say. Not really that big at this point in the game. And, you know, in the end, eHome just takes the better team fight. That's it.
Well, on that note, guys, we'll be back for our second game of this series in just a moment between eHome and Newbie Young. It is, of course, MLP Dota. It is John X Fire. Hopefully, we've got another exciting game coming up for game number 2. Won't be too long, guys.